Hello out there in this world. Sometimes I know we can have bad days. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. But no matter what, just take time for self care. If you have a bad day, uh, go somewhere in your quiet time, go for a walk for a couple hours, disconnect, recharge your batteries, heal your mind. That's how you get through a bad day. Just keep pushing forward and you just keep taking it one day at a time. And that's my guy Star Pack on a live check-in. Brother, how are you, man? How was your day? Did you have a good or bad day today? And I will stay hydrated, brother. Good to see you, man. Hope you and your brother and your family always keep you in my prayers. Hope you're doing great. Yes, I'm thankful. Um, so I just very appreciative. Tease up, what's up, man? How are you? Tease up, good to see you, man. I appreciate everyone coming in on live check-in. I really do. Um, I know sometimes a little rough, but I'm very thankful for everyone who checks in. That's the fun part about YouTube is going live. There's a dynamic. There's the regular videos are good for some people, and even for me, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or whatever. You have one specific message. There's no other noise, and you just you hit on your message. And I like to watch YouTube videos, when I'm in my own time, like after I go live and when I eat my dinner. I watch YouTube videos, and whether it's about nomad life or Florida or whatever, but it's usually light. I really don't really engage in news stories anymore or gossip stuff. It's really, I try to keep it light. I try to keep the subjects really light. Why? Because I found that's healing, man. I mean, at the end of the day, life beats you up. The last thing you want to do is watch too many things that hurt your mind more or make you more frustrated. And I don't want to do that. Dylan, what's up? Walking now on a trail, feeling great. Good. Hope your day is going awesome. Yeah, overall, my day went well. Always some challenges, but I would say I'm blessed and I'm thankful. And yes, another beautiful day. I'm glad you're walking. I think walking is a underrated tool to heal your mind and your soul. And if you have the physical ability to walk, never neglect that blessing, because it is a blessing to be able to walk. Star Pack, I had a good day today, although there was some traffic, but that happens sometimes. Even me. Once in a while I do get caught in traffic, so totally understand that. Milano, how are you, brother? Everything down in Miami? Dylan, almost had enough for my Forerunner. Then I'm on the road, brother. Well, I like that. Keep that vision in front of you, Dylan, because you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Don't allow fear to stop you. And you have to try. You have to experiment. Don't let anyone tell you how to. Even me sometimes. Like sometimes I look at what people do and I say, Sam, I, I feel like that's foolish. They're about to do something foolish. But then I have to pull myself back because I say, Sam, I've done different things in my life that other people think is foolish, whether it's living out of my car or whatever. So it's tough. Human nature is we want to evaluate something and then give a grade to it. But really, look, it always comes down to if whatever you're doing is not hurting anyone, then just do your thing. Okay, right, wrong, or anything else, just do your thing. And even if it is wrong, do what you want to do. And for me, I have to always remember, Sam, don't judge them. Let them live. And I want the same thing. And you'll have to fight that too. That's human temptation. We want to judge, we want to evaluate, we want to, score people on how we think they're living. But you can't. You gotta. It's a battle. You have to fight your flesh, not to judge other people, and not to say, "Oh, you're doing something stupid." Just let them do them. Let them do them. Dana, hey Dana, hey Sam, love and respect from North Carolina. Dana, it's always good to see you. How's everything with the job? Mob, forgive me if I say the name wrong. Mob Sav Yaj. Hey, new to watching you live. Thank you, Mob. I hope now if I don't, it's love and respect. I'm not good with pronouncing names, but thank you, Mob. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you leaving a comment. Love and respect to you. Milano, raining in and out. Oh, okay, thanks, Milano. Milano down in Miami. Are you at Costco today, Milano, or are you in a park? Yeah. Good to see you, Milano. I'll talk to you soon, Milano. I'm looking at some different things down there. I'll make videos. Tease up. What was the topic pertaining to? The topic today, the structured topic, each night when I go live, what I do is I pick one topic that I want to talk about and I take live comments. So tonight what I'm reflecting on is don't get too involved. What does that mean? throughout my life, there's been different times where I got too involved in their drama, too involved in their whatever. Uh, Resist the temptation to get too involved in someone else's life. Now, if there is an emergency, certainly, intervene, call police or try to assist to a person get that situation stable. But what I'm speaking on is when you are going on your journey in life, whether it's family members, friends, or just associates that you meet, you're going to hear their stories, because human nature is we need to vent, we need to share, and that's healthy. And you should let people vent, let people share. And if you're asked your opinion and asked your counsel, you should give the caveat, this is just my opinion, do what you want. Because what I found is you hurt yourself and you hurt them when you get too involved in their issues. As an adult, people have to kind of figure out their life for themselves. And that includes relationships. I mean, don't get too involved in someone else's relationships. I remember, a friend of mine getting in a fight with the girlfriend and the boyfriend were getting in a fight, and I stepped in between, and the girlfriend ended up hitting me in the face. And I'm glad I'm intervening, because I tried to, I felt like that was an emergency situation. But it was like a parable. Like, you get too involved in a conflict, you're the one that gets hit in the face. You're trying to keep the peace. There's a scripture that says getting involved in someone else's argument is as foolish as yanking a dog's ears. And just what that means is, look, when you get too involved in someone else's business, you get hurt and nothing good happens. And I do want to say too, just don't judge them. Resist the temptation to judge. Just like there's one person here who recently changed her profile picture name, live and let live. If they're not hurting you, if they're not bothering you, let them live their life and you live your life. Resist the temptation to get too involved. I know a lot of people sometimes, like last night, people ask me about my mother in different situations. And what I've learned from a lot of situations with my family members is I have to be there, yes, to listen, yes, to try to help when there's an emergency, but I can't get too involved because nothing good comes of that. When you are there to listen when someone needs to, and what I've learned too is spending time with people that are really hurting, just listen, let them vent, and again, give them advice if you want, but just don't get too involved, because you really need to focus on self-care in this world. And just keeping your mind in a healthy space. And what I found is just listen. Listen and resist the temptation to give too much advice. Resist the temptation to give your evaluation, to give your scorecard. Don't score it. Don't score. If you think someone else is making a foolish decision, don't try to score that. Don't try to judge that. Don't try to evaluate that. Because there's going to be times in your life where you do something and it's going to be maybe against the odds. It's going to be something that most people don't agree with. And the last thing you want is people scoring you, judging you, critiquing you. And that's when other people get too involved in your life. It's the same thing applies to you. You don't want people to get too involved in your life. Don't get too involved in theirs. This is a guiding principle. No matter what walk of life you're from, no matter what part of the journey. And I think if you can remember that, life is never perfect. But I think it makes life a little bit easier, and it takes a little bit of the burden of life in this world off your shoulders. Because sometimes I think we take on an unnecessary burden where we try to solve everyone's issues, and usually it's at the neglect of our own, and we just get too involved instead of just saying, hope everything works out. If there's really an emergency, obviously help out. But that's the core of what I wanted to share, and that's it. Love and respect from Alabama. That's Crimson Tider. There was a movie called Crimson Tide. Remember that? It was about a submarine, I think, Denzel Washington, and there was another great actor in that movie. Yeah, I remember that, Crimson Tide. Hey, shout out to, and isn't that too the name of the football team down there? Dana, very busy with the animals, and I love it. That's good. Yeah, I walked through a pet store today. I was looking at a couple cute cats, and They were cute. The younger ones are always cute. Of course, there's a few old ones there that most people don't adopt. The younger ones were cute, and I look at pets once in a while. Pets are healing. Pets are healing. Look, life beats you up. Pets just look at you. They love you, but they're a lot of work. When I was in the pet store, that's what I was thinking. Different, bad parts of my day. I was trying to unwind. So when you look at a pet, when you have a bad day or when you think about bad things, pets tend to help. And then so I went into the store and I was looking at pets to try to lift up my spirits. And there was a couple of cute little kittens, and I was doing that, and I was trying to like play with them through the glass, and but I know the work behind the cuteness. Having a dog for 10 years, what I can tell you is, pets are a blessing, but they are a lot of work. I think cats are more independent than dogs, so there may be a different dynamic there. I don't have experience in owning a cat. Obviously, I've had family members that had cats. I have friends that had cats, but I've never owned one. And the other problem with any type of pet, in my opinion, in my experience, I think anytime you get more than two pets, it's too much to take care of. I think anytime you have more than two pets, it's an unhealthy situation. You put too much of a burden on you. And even though it's loving, even though it's cute, I think it may hurt. That's just my opinion, okay? But this is what I wanted to share. Milano, very common mistake, getting too involved in something before we engage our brain. Milano, that's wisdom, brother. And what's on my spirit is just and this is for me and everyone, don't try to evaluate someone else's life. If they let them live their life and just let them be and let them figure it out, right or wrong, doesn't matter. That's their life. And I have to pull myself back because human nature is we tend to want to say, oh, look at that, live and let live. Javier, what's up, brother? Hey, yo, Javier, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing good. Celtic girl. Nomad, I always wondered if it was a big pain in the ass to find a new mechanic to service your car since you are in different places all the time. Great question, Celtic girl. Good to see you. No, not really. I mean, I drive a relatively new car. I have a 2-year-old car, but I do have almost 100,000 miles on it. Now, what I do is for my oil changes, I go to Valvoline Instant Oil, whether I'm down in Florida, which I did a couple times, or whether I'm up north, or whether I'm somewhere in between. Now, a Jeep dealer. Like for my exhaust fan, I went to a Jeep dealer, and they're all across the country. And I'm usually in urban areas, populated areas. For my tires change, I went to Walmart. Walmart, there was a super Walmart that had a mechanic spot. And for my thermostat that went bad and my windshield, I also went to the Jeep dealership. So I usually go to the Jeep dealership. I'm saving money. I'd rather go to the Jeep dealership, spend a couple $100 extra and know that the value you get when you go to the dealership is these people work on these vehicles every day. When you go to an off-name regular mechanic, they may be very skilled, but they work on a variety of different types of vehicles, different manufacturers, different models. So in life, there's nothing perfect. There's nothing say, but you mitigate the risk. You make your list you make it. There's a greater chance of things going well when you go to a dealership. You pay a little bit more, but again, if you're saving, if you're living out of your car, for me, I'd rather spend a little bit more going to a Jeep dealership, having that assurance and having people who work on Jeeps every day work on my car. And so I kind of plan that, and everywhere I'm going, and that's why I like a Jeep over a RV. No disrespect to anybody who wants an RV, but RVs are harder to service. Why? Because it's basically like there's not as many RV dealerships that service RVs as there is Jeep dealerships. And they're more of a hassle to get in and out, and the people working on them are working on a variety of type, not just your type. That's the value of living out of your car versus living out of an RV. The dealership, the accessibility to people who can maintenance your car are a lot more. You got a lot more convenience, a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility. When I looked at the 2018 Thor Class C motorhome, that was one of the things the salesman was telling me. Like, look, if you ever have to get this thing maintenance, here's the list of people that are certified to work on this. And the list wasn't even close to as many Jeep dealerships as there. I mean, there's only like a few. There was a few, but they were up and down the East Coast, and you'd have to really plan that service. Should that deter you from getting an RV? No, not if that's what you want to do. And I'm not saying I would never get an RV, but this is part of how I view it at this point. And that's why I enjoy That's why I enjoy car living. That's why I also try to buy new. I don't buy used, because when you buy new, at least you know what you're getting, and if something happens, you own that vehicle for the duration. Now, when this vehicle goes, I mean, I got almost 100,000 miles on it. It's only 2 years, but I have a lot of miles. Then I'll get another new car. Uh, Below my means, nothing fancy. And we'll see where I'm at. But that's a good question. That's how I answer it. Sam John, hey Sam, driving, but with you on the drive. Thank you, John. Always good to have you, brother. Love and respect and peace to you. I used to love it. My favorite part of the Mass, even though there's some things I disagree with, different religions and different philosophies and dogma. One thing I loved about Catholic services was when they said, "Peace be with you," and you would shake someone's hand and you'd say, "Also with you." It was just a sincere moment for me. I'm sharing for me, and I just like telling people, "Peace be with you," and also with you. I think there's healing in that. No religion about that. To me, I mean, you can say it in any type of dialect you want. It doesn't have to be a specific religion, but to wish someone peace, I think that's a blessing. What's one of the greatest things you could have in this world? Peace. And even when you have money, and even when you have your health, sometimes peace is elusive. We have to make a conscious effort to have peace. Learn not to get too involved in someone else's drama. You have a higher level of peace. Never underestimate the value of peace. It'll just make life a better quality of living. Life is never going to be perfect. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad memories. You're going to have good memories. So I'm a realist. I'm not here to tell you, look, there's some days I'm driving my car and I say, I wish I wasn't born. Now, do you want me to be honest with you? I'll be honest with you. And I'm blessed. I got all my health. I got a great life. But I feel the pain of life sometimes. It's just, why am I even here? It's just a pain in the ass. And I'm blessed. Now, take what I'm saying in context now, okay? But I want to be honest with you guys. I don't want to pander. And so we have to really be conscious of our peace and keeping ourselves in a well place. Very important. Jay Brown Jr. Hey, Sam. Jay Brown. Always good to see you. And I always appreciate you saying hello. Mob. And then Mob gives me a smiley face emoji. I always wondered how people would pronounce my name. Well, I hope I'm somewhat close. I probably not. But Mob, you already know. So love and respect. Now I know a lot of people because I grew up in a diverse area. I know people from all over the world, different languages. I wish I spoke more than one language. I really do. I think it's a blessing and a sign of respect to me, someone who knows multiple languages and multiple. I wish I did. But what I'm here to say is, I speak the language of love, okay? Universal language. And I know the language of asshole, okay? Whether it's English or anything else. I know, well, I don't want to say I'm perfect. All I know is I know when someone's contentious, and I know when someone is just, we speak different languages, but we speak the same language. It's the language of love. You understand what I'm saying? All right, love and respect. Start back. Hey, Sammy, I've been messing around with the video editing. Good. That's how you learn. How do you learn? You mess around with something. I remember when I just play with it. You're not going to hurt anything. For the most part, unless you're in like some type of like controlling software where you're actually controlling something, for the most part, you're not. How do you learn? By messing around with stuff, by playing with stuff, by tinkering with it, and not being scared to break something. Touch the screen. You're not going to break anything. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's good, Star Pack. That's how you learn. I just recorded me playing a game and practicing on it. Amen. And it's like it's good to practice and learn, and then it's a whole nother dimension when you actually put it out there in a public and you share a video. When you share your videos, you're going to be your worst critic. You're going to hear the voices in your head of everyone else either judging you or commenting on you. That's why I think you really have to be mentally strong to have a YouTube channel. I know it, like everything else in life, it seems glorious. It seems like, I just upload videos, and it is. I mean, if you have a passion for it, it's a blessing. It's good, but you can even make a little bit of money. That's why most people, you ask them, why do most people end up shutting down their YouTube account after a few months? Because it's a huge mental task, worth it financially. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at, it's just like most businesses, 90% fail. Even me, I get tempted, to delete everything once in a while and just close it down, because it's a huge tax on your mind. I mean, you replay thoughts, you replay, self-criticism, you replay the criticisms of others. But anytime you open up yourself to others in a unique way. And it's tough. And then of course when you fail, because we all fail, then you're going to feel like a hypocrite, because then you're going to feel like, who am I to give advice? But this is all part of life. I mean, you're going to fail. It's possible. Are you always going to keep something for yourself? Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone shares 100% of their story. I really don't. I think everyone has a little bit of their story that no one knows but them. I really do believe that. That's why you always have to remember that in life, and that you take the good that you can get from something and you leave the bad. Kimberly, what's going on, Kimberly? Hey, Sam. Cheers to you, Kimberly. Good to see you. Hey, Kimberly. Brandon. Hello. I totally appreciate what you do. Good on you. Thank you, Brandon. Love and respect to you, Brandon. Peace emoji to you, brother. Kimberly. Gotta go to sleep. Working tonight. Just wanted to pop in and I work the second shift and third shift. There's healing in working at night because you're by yourself. And if you're like me, you don't like to be around a lot of people. That's kind of a blessing. It's quiet. The downside is it can mess up your sleep cycle. But I was just thinking about that before I went live. I was thinking about the brother last night, Anonymous, who shared that he was trying to get off the night shift. If you work, let's say a third shift, the third shift is relative depending on the time. But let's say you work midnight to 8. How do you make sure that you get enough sunlight for your mental health and your physical well-being? Well, as soon as you get off of work, I would try to stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go outside, get that sunlight. And then from like 3 to 10, go to sleep right there. That's your 6-7 hours. And, that would, that would get you right. The average person needs 6 to 7 hours per sleep per night. And that will ensure that you get your vitamin D. Now, if you work the second shift, then you're good too. I mean, say you work 4 o'clock till midnight, or 4 o'clock till 1. Same thing. As soon as you get off of work, you got to go to bed. And you can wake up at like 9, stay up, and then just repeat that cycle. But you have to try to get a routine, and develop it around that, and try to keep a consistency, because that's what happens when you work an odd shift, is that you lose consistency. Consistency is the key to unlocking every healthy behavior. Consistency. What a level of variable. I mean, you can't be a robot. But, and I've often shared, look, if you're going to live out of your car or van, I mean, working the night shift is the best thing. Why? Because then you can park during the day at any park and go to sleep legally. You never have to worry about parking. So if the shit ever hit the fan, I mean, what do I recommend you do? Look, I worked a night shift, and then you can live in your car. You can sleep in a park during the day legally. Not a problem. So, Milano. Yes, the RV waiting list to service your RV sometimes is more waiting. Yes, thank you, Milano, for sharing that. Yes, that's something to consider. It shouldn't necessarily deter you if you have a dream and you have a desire that you want an RV. I'm not against it. I'm just saying be mindful of these things so you know what you're getting yourself into and you can mentally prepare. If you get an RV, you gain more comfort, but you lose flexibility, and you have more aggravation with the maintenance and coordinating the scheduling. That's just the way it is. You gain something, but you lose something. Life, every decision is about a trade-off. And what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. This is part of that life that we all have to just accept. Mob, how many miles do you drive on average per day? Good question. It depends on my work. But I would say if I averaged, I mean, I would definitely probably be around 300 if I know I have to go back to a particular location, because I work a remote position. I got transferred to a remote position in the past 3 months. But right now what I'm doing is traveling to audit different areas. And so I have to be in different areas. But when I'm working remote, gauging on how that to balance out. I mean, once I'm fully remote, and once I'm done traveling for auditing, it's going to be minimal. That's why at that time I'm considering a home base maybe, because then I won't be traveling much. But, again, I have 100,000 miles over the course of 2 years. So, I mean, you do the math. I mean, 50,000 miles per year, somebody with a calculator on their phone, do this math. 50,000 divided by 365. And that's how many miles I drive per year, per day. I mean, Milano, they sell too many RVs, but it's hard to get back to service them. Yep. Yeah, it's typical anything in life. It's easy to acquire. It's hard to, hard to sell and hard to maintain. I mean, everyone wants to make it easy for you to buy it. But then when you have to service it, when you have to use your warranty, it's not going to be as easy. Why? Because there's no financial incentive that somebody has to get a car dealership or RV dealership, salesmen out the woodworks, and rightfully so. I mean, that's their job. And they want to make a sale because there's a financial incentive. And that's understandable that if they make the sale, they get a commission. They're not doing you a favor. They're not being nice to you. You know, you may find some nice people, but that's their job and they're getting paid for it. And you're a customer. And the issue is, once that sale's made, there's no financial incentive for the servicemen, the maintenance people. They're getting paid per hour, and rightfully so, and everyone else. So there's not like any incentive for anyone to make sure that you get your issue resolved quicker. And that's, you have to be mindful of that. That's just part of life. You have to accept that. T-Zub, what are some topics that are off limit and questions that shouldn't be asked on this live stream? Well, nothing's off limit, but I just determine in my mind how someone asks it and how I feel at that time. Now, some days, I mean, it all depends too, like everything else in life, what day you catch me and what I feel. So I would say nothing is off limit as long as I feel it's asked in the right way. But have I probably blacked out on somebody who's asked something in the right way? Maybe they just kept me on an off day. I'm human just like everyone else, but sometimes I feel like I know where that person was coming from. So it all depends on how I read the question and how I feel. It doesn't mean I'm always 100% right, but I can't guarantee you that any question is safe. But I've tried to answer just about every question. Even ones when I blacked out on somebody, I've answered the question. So, yeah, that's the best way I can answer. Tease up, just trying to be cautious. Well, that's wisdom, because you already know I can be very right. But I try to be loving. Star Pack. Well, actually, I did my share. I did share my video. I just uploaded it to see how it would turn out, and if anyone would have any advice. Yeah, check out Star Pack, man. He's been a faithful viewer. That's all love and respect. I'll check it out, Star Pack. I know I subscribed to your channel because I know you've been faithful here, and I'm all about supporting people because I know how it is when you first start. All I can tell you is if you're really serious about YouTube or anything in life, what's your friend? Consistency. What's your friend? Consistency. What's your friend when you want to close the doors? Hang in there. Not easy. Mob. What will you do? What will you be doing after the live event? After tonight, I'm going to go to a supermarket and get a salad and some skinny popcorn and a large Diet Coke with ice and watch YouTube. I'll probably watch, there's a guy on YouTube I watch, Rusty. I know he's camping right now. I watched Nomadic Fanatic almost get in a car accident. Like I told you guys, if you live on the road, your number one threat is not a Freddy Krueger. It's getting into a car accident. And that's about it. I mean, I really haven't been finding anyone lately that inspires me, so it's been a little challenging. I've been watching some of Rusty's old videos when he was living in or camping in his Prius. But that's what I try to do. I keep it light. I don't watch news. I just go on my phone that's in the holster in my car right now. I'll watch something light, something that inspires me. I'll eat my food. I'll watch that just like I would if I was in my house. And then by 10 o'clock, I try to be sleeping. And that's what I'll do. What will you do? Chris, what's up, Chris? Celtic Girl, Nomad. I just want to make sure you know I was only asking about your mom. Oh, no, that's all love. In the nicest way from my heart. I totally know that. Don't worry about that. Yesterday was the first time I ever knew anything. No, that's okay. It's all love. Truly was just trying to be nice. No, Celtic Girl, I appreciate you coming in very much. And I appreciate your question. It's a tough thing. Look, my topics are never directed at one person. And I'm thankful to share that stuff because that's the real stuff. Look, will sharing about living in my car change your life? I mean, it may inspire a couple people, but what will really change people's life is when I really share, like, what real life is about and the different challenges you face with your family members, friends, because that's a universal thing. So I got no problem sharing that. So Celtic Girl, so love. And look, you guys, for people who join this live stream or channel on a regular, you already know, like, if I don't like something, Kimberly, I work 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Okay. I stay up till about 12 or 1. That's a good schedule. Take my walk and ride in, then get up at 8 p.m. to ready, cook, and work. Consistency is necessary. Kimberly, it sounds like you on a great schedule. Good job, Kimberly. Thumbs up emoji to you. I'm not mad at you doing your thing. Chris, hello, Sam and friends. Chris, what's up? Thanks for showing up. Thank you for showing up also, Chris. Thank you for saying that. What are your thoughts on getting paid a salary versus hourly? Good question. I've always appreciate your advice. Peace and forward. Thank you. Salary is my preferred method. I'm currently on salary. I've been on salary for about 9-10 years. Every job before that was hourly. I understand the counterpoint that when you're hourly, you can get overtime. And I worked a bunch of overtime when I was younger. And sometimes you can make more, but there's not consistency. I like negotiating a fixed salary and sometimes with a bonus incentive, because I like to know what I'm getting and I don't like to have blood money. You make off better when you're on salary. Yes, sometimes you have to work later and put in extra work, but when you're on salary, you're a trusted employee. Now, like anything, if people take advantage of you, then you have to go to a different company. But for the most part, what I've seen is higher positions tend to be salary, lower positions tend to be hourly. Okay? Usually, on average, there's exceptions. When you have moved up in your career and you are trusted, you will be salary with maybe a bonus incentive. So, my personal preferred method, 21 years in the workforce, the first half of that hourly, the second half of it salary, I preferred salary, but a negotiated salary based on what I'm willing to accept. And then if I'm not willing to accept that, then I would have to look for another job. But, I accept what my salary is, and I negotiate that up front, and then that's it. That's my preferred method. Good question, Kimberly. Tonight is my first night back to sleep. It's always funky on the first night. I understand that. I work 7 on, 7 off. Okay, that's a great on schedule, Kimberly. Now, yeah, but that could be funky, like it messes you up. You got to get back in the flow. But good for you, Kimberly. I'm not mad at that. Are you living full-time in the car? Because you can definitely make that work, and you can travel and everything. Good for you, Kimberly. I'm happy for you. Graylin. Sam, would you live stream in public ever or only in private? No, I've live streamed in public. So I've live streamed down in Miami, downtown Miami. I live streamed from Boca Raton. I walked around shops. I live streamed from different beaches. So I've live streamed from different areas, but I have to have good reception and it has to be inspired at the moment. So nothing is really too much planned as far as that, but I've done it before. It's in my playlist on my channel. Sometimes it comes across a little bit choppy depending on where I'm at, but I have done that before. But mainly it's in my car, and so I can, like, what I'm saying, interact and connect and like be present. But I do a variety of things. Milano, they are not many service centers to go. Yep, I agree with that. Zelda, hey Sam, 2 palm trees and sun face smiley. Good job. Good to see you, Zelda. T-Zub, what are some hobbies you've had throughout your life before you started the nomadic lifestyle? Good question. Sports would be my first hobby when I was younger. I used to love basketball. Mainly, that was my main sport. So that was definitely my number one hobby. After that, it was probably video games. I liked video games. I liked Xbox. I liked basketball, NBA 2K Live, NFL 2K Live. Then after that, it was eating. For 5 years, when I really let myself go, to me, it was like a hobby to be a foodie. I would enjoy after work. What would be my goal? To see where I can order food from and go home and stuff my face, if I'm being honest with you. Now my hobbies are basically walking, listening to music, going for a nice scenic drive by the beach, spending time at the beach. That's kind of what I like. Celtic Girl, Nomad. Do you love mangoes like me? How do you eat chilled fruit? Now, I don't like mangoes necessarily. I'm not mad at mangoes. I like orange. I prefer orange above a mango. How do I eat fruit? I just go to the supermarket and get it cold, or if I'm by like a place on the side of the road that's selling fruit, I'll get a piece of fruit. But that's what I like. Tease up. I love mangoes. Nick, I like dried mangoes. People out there filling mangoes. I ain't mad at that. A little too tangy. I like an orange better. But I'm not mad at the mangoes. Love and respect. What's my favorite fruit? Banana. I like a cool banana. Not frozen banana, but a cool banana. And then like a health bar or something like that. Chris, thanks for the advice, brother. I want to think ahead when the time comes with my job. Well, that's wisdom to think ahead. That I can negotiate my pay. That's wisdom. By the way, the job is going great. Good to hear, brother. You hung in there. Good job. Your wisdom is always on point. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. I'm very proud of you. And you and Ricardo and others that are pushing forward and building your career. I know it's not easy. Look, I know it's not easy to show up to work every day. I feel the pain too. I still do it, so I understand. It's good that you're doing research. I mean, you can go online now. Online is a great resource to get information. You can look in your job. You can look up your job title, and then you can look up area you live. Now, you live down in Georgia. So Georgia's pay scale is different than New York City, right? So, but you want to look at your job title, then you want to look at your location, and then you want to try to look to see the average pay salary. Glassdoor Glassdoor.com is a great resource, great website. Glassdoor.com. You can go in there. You can see what the average salary is, even for your company. If people posted it, anyone can share on that site. And you can also look at questions that people were asked on an interview for your type of job, reviews of a company, etc., etc. Glassdoor.com, Indeed.com. Those are two of the best job search informational websites out there in my experience. Tiza, at what net worth could you say you've become financially independent? Good question. That's relative, because no matter what, you need a flow of income, right? You're always going to need a flow of income, whether it's through working for someone else, having your own business, living off investments. You have to have a steady, reliable, consistent income. Because even if you save $100,000 plus, if you're just withdrawing every month and you're not putting income, if you don't have income, if you're just taking out, then it's just a matter of time. Just do the math, how long it's going to take to deplete your funds. So, look, I think you're in a good place when you have paid off your debt and you have $25,000 in savings. Because then I think you have, on average, enough to last a year with no debt. I think the average person to get by every month is going to need at least $2,500 to live decently. So if the shit hits the fan and you have no income, I think if you have $25,000 in savings with no debt, for the most part, then I think you're kind of in a good place and you can build from there. Until you're in that place, I wasn't in that place for years. And when someone said $25,000 in savings with no debt, I would look at them like, get the fuck out of here. So I understand. But what I'm trying to tell you is I think that should be the first real, that's when you really start to turn the corner. When you've paid off your debt, when you got $25,000 in savings, and then you start to really decide, then you can decide your life. But then beyond that, it's just numbers. Then certainly 100,000 is a mark, then certainly 200,000. And then it's all numbers. Then you may get to a point where you want to, again, the key to all things is your income stream, not how much, I heard somebody say cash flow. Cash flow doesn't mean anything. If your expenses are the same as your cash flow, you're not making any money at the end of the month. You're barely getting by. You're living paycheck to paycheck, whether that's Social Security or whether it's a job. Living below your means means you have income and you have lower expenses, and then you have net savings. That way, even if the shit hits the fan, you're still saving. Have to have income. So I think you are financially free when you have no debt, $25,000 in saving, and a steady, reliable income when you can save at least $1,000 per month. That's my answer. Good question. And forgive me if I say his name wrong. L12FL. Hello, Sam. First time here. Love and respect to you. Love and respect right back to you. Thank you. Whiskey 2 Bravo. Hey, Whiskey, what's up, brother? Hey, Sam. Stay inspired. Well, I appreciate that. Same to you. Sam is on point tonight, like always. And then he gave one of my favorite emojis, the island emoji. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that encouragement. And same to you, brother. I hope you're doing good. I see you with the car profile picture. Whatever your dream is in life. Now, look, when we have a dream, do we fulfill it? No, sometimes dreams fail. But I reflect on that. I mean, have dreams failed in my life? Sure. So what do we do? Is it even worth it to have goals and dreams? I mean, I ask myself that sometimes. The only thing I can say is what I've learned in life doesn't make failure easy, but is that if you have a goal, usually, if you go for it, you usually end up in a better place, even if you don't obtain the goal. And again, that goes back to the saying, aim for the moon. Even if you miss, you're amongst the stars. So if you have a goal, and even if you don't meet it, if you shoot for it, you're going to be better than if you had no goal. So if your goal is to get to the beach every 3 days, even if you only get to the beach once every 5 days, at least you're mindful of it. You're trying to do it, and you're better than if you were just brain dumb. You have a goal to get out of debt. It may take a while, and you may go back and forth. You may backslide. You may spend too much, but it's a goal. You'll end up better than when you started. Everything in life goals are worth it. The painful part about goals and dreams is a lot of times they fail. I mean, most goals, most businesses fail. Everything fails. 90% of life is failure. A baseball player is a Hall of Famer if he's right 30% of the time. That means he's failed 70% of the time. You go into the Hall of Fame if you fail 70% of the time. That's a baseball player's life. That's a parable to life. Sports are a parable to life in many instances. It's not easy. And that's why, like Rocky said, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep pushing forward. How much you can take and keep pushing forward. That's not easy. You need the grace of God. Showing up every day to work, showing up every morning, every day to work, every night, whatever shift you work. I mean, that's taking a hit and keep going. Losing a family member, losing a child, losing a pet, losing a relationship, and still like showing up to life. It's not easy, but that's how you go forward. Because most shit in life is going to go sour. People say, Sam, don't you feel like you're missing out? You're going to die alone. Look, the reality is, if you get married, your spouse is going to die before you. And sometimes your kids are going to die before you. Have I seen people elderly? Yeah, they're devastated. They're devastated. I've seen devastation. Someone they love with all their heart, they die before them. They leave them all alone. Their life is totally crushed. Or they have children. They love their child, and their child dies before them. They're totally crushed. So, even if no matter how you play life, whether you try to play it single or married, look, there's pain. There's pain in life. Don't let anyone now, but what should you do? Should you get sad? No, look, is it better to have loved and lived than not loved at all? I think if you have a dream and a desire to love, I think you should go for it. Again, if you have a dream to live out a car, I think you should go for it. I shouldn't tell you how to live. You shouldn't tell me. You just have to be mindful that everything has drawbacks. Okay. How do you stay hot and cold in the car? You don't. You sacrifice. How do you always stay in a happy relationship? You don't. Relationships have negatives. Relationships have downside. So when is it worth it to live in a car? When is it worth it to get in a relationship? Whenever you're willing to pay the price. Whenever you're willing to pay the price, but everything has a price. That's why you should only do something that you know yourself well and you want it. And you want it. Because there's pain no matter what. Okay, love and respect. Mob, are you currently friends with anyone else who's living in his or her car? On YouTube, yes. In real life, no. I don't know anyone in real life that's living in their car, van, or RV. On YouTube, yes, but not in real life. Like Milano, a couple other people from my live chat living in their car, van, or RV. But I don't know anyone in like real life. Good question. Nick, passive cash flow over everything. Yeah, I mean, your cash flow has got to exceed your expenses, okay? Because you can have cash flow, but you can have more expenses than you do cash flow, depending on how you define cash flow, okay? Because I've seen people slickly define cash flow. For me, I mean, obviously, I define cash flow as you have more income than expenses, and after all your expenses are paid, you have at least $1,000 worth of cash that you can save. That's how I define cash flow. So that's not easy to get there. I mean, it took me most of my life to get there. And then the bad part about that is that when you start to save a lot, money burns a hole in your wallet. There's a scripture that says, be careful of hoarding riches. Be careful of hoarding cash, because your money is then put in risky investments and all is lost. Does that mean you shouldn't do risky investments? Look, you should do whatever you want. You just have to be mindful that when you hoard cash, that can easily get lost in things that you get antsy to put it in. So there's no one answer to anything in life. Has pros and cons. What I can tell you is try to find a way to sustain an income, keep your expenses below that, and then you're going to go through ups and downs. But at least you're always going to be all right when your expenses are low. And that's what I would say. Crossroads Chris, thanks again. I will keep you posted on the progress. All caps forward. Chris, again, I'm very proud of you, brother. You hung in there. I know it wasn't easy. I'm proud of you for building your life, getting out of that unhealthy relationship, healing your mind, prayers to your mother. Nothing's perfect. Now, look, Chris, I'm sure you got I'm sure you got things going on in your life that you don't share. I don't think anyone shares 100% of their story, okay? I think everyone, including me, I think everyone has a little bit of their story they don't share. So what I'm here to tell you is peace be with you, okay? Even for the percentage of the story you don't share. Whiskey to Bravo. When Minimal Millennials band broke down, they stayed in a tent. Hotel, anyone? Yeah, I would stay in a hotel. I mean, I know a guy on YouTube, AJ, living in his Prius down on Miami Beach. He just got sick, and he's staying at a 5-star hotel. Why? Because he saves money. Now again, it's like, if you don't have income, if you're just depending on YouTube or something like that, you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck. So that's why you have to be careful. Celtic girl. When you first started, did you ever have a smaller cooler with blue ice in your car beverages? Not when I started living out of my car, but when I had started, I started taking day trips before I started downsizing my life. After I lost my dog, I started taking day trips in my Range Rover. I had a Range Rover, and I said I wanted to start to explore. And I put an ice cooler in it, and I would take day trips down to the beach, and I would spend the night and different things like that, and I would put a cooler in it. But it was a pain in the ass to refill the ice, and all the food gets soggy, and it's maintenance. And what I found is, yes, I spend a little bit more money by going to the supermarket every day, but I'm saving enough where that's an expense I'm willing to incur because my income's still above that. So it's just, I mean, if you had to do it, you could do it, but it's a pain in the ass. It's another thing to maintain. You gotta make sure mold doesn't get in there. You gotta dump out the water. You gotta make sure your food doesn't get soggy. I did that for about 6 months when I was taking day trips before I started living out of a car. And it has its place maybe in the beginning, but for me, long term, it got to be a pain in the ass. Uno, woohoo! I've always wanted a girlfriend, okay? But after all the it's not worth it. It's better to travel the world and be happy and single. Well, I agree with that. Now, I also have been blessed where I have been in love, I have been in a relationship. I just don't want it anymore. I agree with that. Look, you're better off single. In most cases, you're better off single. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, if you ever get lonely, have a 5-minute conversation with someone who is in a relationship. If you ever get lonely, have a 5-minute conversation with someone who is in a relationship, and you're going to hear them vent about all the things going on in their life. I remember talking to certain people like, oh man, I would love to be in that type of relationship. Then I would talk to them on the side, like, and the spouse be gone or their lover be gone, and then they start telling me about all the drama behind the scenes. And I said, oh shit, I didn't know there was all that to deal with. And I said, well, I'm thankful I'm not in that relationship. And you just say, that's too much aggravation. Nick, true. How much you make, all caps, is income. Expenses. You have income of $500K a year. If you spend $500K, you're making nothing. Yes. Nick, excellent comment. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you make $500,000 a year, but your expenses, you spend $500,000 a year, you're dead broke. Someone making $50,000 a year and only spending $20,000 a year is way ahead of you. Do I know people who make 6 figures and are in debt? Yes. Yes, I know a few people like that. And I don't say that in judgment, but I'm here to tell you that you can make great money. I didn't realize that. When I started to move up the chain in my career and I started to, get to know people who are making good money, I was amazed that you can make great money and, you could not have nothing to show for it other than a bunch of materialistic things. And above that, above what your bank account says, the stress, okay? Because I'm not trying to tell you here, masturbate to what your bank account looks like, even though I do like to do that. What I'm here to tell you is the stress that you have when you're living paycheck, and that should deter you enough to live below your means. Meadow, give me the hand wave emoji then. The smiley face with the blush. Hey, Meadow, good to see you. Tease up. I think it's really good to have multiple goals and avenues to succeed in. So if you fail in one, always have another one, and better yet, you can succeed in both. Good comment. I agree with that. Small chance, but possible. Tease up, you hitting them hard tonight. No, I agree with that. There's scripture that says that scatter your seed. You never know which will bear fruit. I agree with that. Tease up, that was a good comment. Brother 3 John, hey brother 3. Follow your passion. Never stay in a job too long that you hate. It's a dream killer. Brother 3, great comment. Good to see you, brother. That's a good comment. I don't want to add anything negative. The only thing I would say is in my life experience, you got to work jobs. That's how you don't gain traction on making more money and advancing your career. There's a lot of intelligent people out there that can do a lot of things, but they get bored with a job, they get frustrated, and they quit. but really staying with the same company or staying in the same industry and working, you shouldn't be changing jobs every 2 to 3 years. If you are, I'm not saying, look, you should do what you want. Let me say that. All I'm saying, in my experience, if you have a track record of consistency in the same industry, in the same field, that's how you move up. How do you make six figures? Consistency. Being in the same field for a long period of time and having a long track record with one company or multiple, a couple companies. That being said, though, I understand what you're saying. But for me, I mean, what's my passion? Living by the beach, making income while I'm at the beach. That's very hard to do. So is somebody going to pay me to live at the beach? No. I mean, but I hear you. I'm not against Brother 3. I mean, I agree with him. All I'm trying to say, I'm a realist too. I'm an optimist and I'm a realist. It's very hard to find something you're passionate about and get paid for and get paid well. So I'm not against you going for it. You just have to be mindful of that. Because you certainly don't want to hurt your career. You should do what you want. It's something I think about. It's just something I think about. Crossroads Chris, one of the best abilities is availability. Yep. Well, yeah, be there when others aren't, and that's how you get ahead. I agree with that. Milano. For X, if you have a problem or damage that required body work and paint job, all the auto body shops are for cars, vans, anything taller will not do it. And that's another great comment, and that's a real life experience from somebody living full time out of his Class B plus. So, if you have body damage on an RV, again, now it's harder to get service, harder to get repaired versus a car. Does that mean you shouldn't get an RV? No. I'm not against that. Again, it's just something to be mindful of so that you can prepare, because Milano still loves the way he's living. It's just something to think about. Lorena. Hey, Lorena. I like the blue color. Hey, Sam. When you teak a dog, what does that mean? Don't know what that means. Excuse me. Everyone wants a relationship nowadays. Everyone thinks it makes them happy. Relationships are meant to be doomed now in 2018. Excuse me, I was just watching something. Everybody wants a relationships now. I mean, it's human nature. I mean, human nature is we want everything. And we want, good comment, we want the companionship of a relationship, but we don't want the responsibilities. I remember a friend saying that to me. He said, Sam, you're in a relationship, but you want the good parts of it, but you don't want the bad parts. Like, you want the companionship, the passion, but, you don't want the inconvenience of, going to the family events, doing this. And he was right. And that's why I said, well, maybe I'm not built for this because I don't want the aggravation. People, don't want to be hot or cold, but they want the maximum freedom of living in a car. It's not possible unless you can fully travel with the weather. And that's very hard to obtain. And even then you get caught in the weather sometimes. So again, I'm just bringing to mind, human nature is we want everything. Can we have everything? Not everything, but I think we can position our life to have more of what we want and less of what we don't. How much you spend on food a week? That's the most I spend. Food is my biggest line on budget. What kinds of food do you eat? Mainly plant-based. I spend a week probably about close to, is it 500? I'll say 400. 400 maybe, something like that. 400 a week maybe. And I could cut that in half, but I just choose not to. Mob, do you think it would ever be possible to organize a network of people who volunteer their driveways for people living in their cars to park one night? Yeah, I think you could. Look, I worked in different nonprofits and I was involved in organizing different events. It's the same mindset. The problem is it's a pain in the ass. And then you're connected to people, you're in a relationship with people. I don't want to be connected with people in a long-term committed relationship. And that's an aggravation, that's a burden, and that can become a problem. I'd rather just pay for a campground, not be connected to people, not have the obligation of dealing with people. I'd rather just pay for a campground, do what I want, and be free. When you're connected to that type of group, you're burdened. You're burdened emotionally. It's just, I don't want to deal with people. I'm being honest now. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea, but somebody would have to have the wherewithal to organize that thing. And usually the people who do that are manipulators, and they want a donation. And I'd rather just pay a campground fee or, go to truck stops or Walmarts and keep it moving and paying gas money. That's me personally. Milano, Sammy, what is better, weekly paid or monthly paid? Well, I get paid bi-weekly. every 2 weeks. That's what I've seen in most cases in today's society. You're going to get paid every 2 weeks. I would rather get paid I wouldn't want to get paid once a month. I'd rather get paid every week or every other week. That's my preference. Celtic Girl. Do you listen to audiobooks and a lot of podcasts while driving to your jobs? No, I don't. There was a season of my life where I listened to a lot of audiobooks and I watch things, but no, I don't. I listen to music when I'm driving mainly, or I listen to nothing. I either listen to music or I listen to nothing. I just roll down my windows and I let my mind unwind, but I don't really listen to podcasts. I usually wait till I'm stopped, because I found too, like, that's what I usually do. Crossroads Chris. Ooh, smiles. Good. All right, guys. I was present in my moment tonight. I gave you how I feel tonight. My live feeds are going to be how I feel that day. I mean, sometimes I'm passionate, sometimes I'm laid back, sometimes it's a funny topic, sometimes it's a serious one. These are all reflections of me. No one is one thing. We all have different shades, okay? That's why it's important that somebody's car going this way. That's why it's important that you put everything in context, okay? And you put the whole piece together. But at the end of the day, peace be with you. Okay, try not to get involved in other people's business. Be there if there's an emergency or if you need to intercede to prevent an emergency. But for the most part, just live and let live. Peace and love. Good night. Start back, Crossroads Chris and Alpha 2. I'll answer the final question. L12FL. I'm just curious, Sam. What is your end game plan? Will you get tired of living in a car and go back to sticks and bricks at some point? Thank you for the question. I don't feel I'll ever go back to sticks and bricks. My game end plan at this point may be a home base in Florida. And when I say a home base, I mean an RV lot, like right by the ocean, or a piece of... I don't feel that I'll ever buy another house again. It's going to be an RV lot, and I'll put something there, and then I'll just travel at will. And that way too, because I want to spend the majority of my time in Florida. And that way, if there's a hurricane or something, I would have like a micro trailer or something I just parked there that I don't care about. Like that way, if there's a hurricane, I don't have to worry about it. I just, move it. But that's the end game. The end game would be, I would love to be able to live off investments or multiple revenues where I don't have to necessarily punch the clock. I mean, working remotely is a great step where I can work from anywhere. But obviously, I would love to just use my creative gifts, like, live off investments. But that's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. It's very inconsistent. That's the thing. Like, just like I have my own business for many years. And having your own business is great because you call the shots. But money fluctuates. 1 month you may make a lot of money. Then the next month you may lose a lot of money. And the same thing with investments. And then so that's why most businesses fail, and it's very hard. You got to have endurance, and it's not easy. But with my expenses minimum, that would be my end game. But if none of that plans out, I would just still, work a remote job, maybe get a home, like I said, the RV lot in Florida by the beach, and live peacefully ever after, and continue to live below my means. Continue to live below my means. One thing I will always do going forward, God willing, is always live below my means. Whether RV lot, live in my car, whatever it is, that's the end game always. Live below my means so that I'm not on the hook financially and I can't be myself. And I don't want to be stressed in life. I want to live a peaceful life, and I want to be happy as possible. Why not get a studio apartment, Poker Pro says, by the beach? I thought about that. You could get one for a similar price, but the problem with a studio apartment is you're connected to people. You have someone above you, someone on the sides of you. A RV lot, yes, you do have neighbors close to you, but you're not connected to anyone. And so living in my car, what I found for a year and a half is I'm more connected to nature. I feel the elements of the outdoors, and I like that. Now, I don't like it when I was freezing in the middle of the winter in New Jersey, but I'm not going to be in New Jersey anymore in the winter. But that's the problem with a studio apartment. Like, I don't want to be indoors. A RV, even though some of them are insulated, or even if I park my car in some type of land, I'm still connected with the outdoors. I'm in an environment, and it's less to maintain. Less to maintain. Like a RV, you can get an RV that's less than 100 square foot. Very hard to get a studio condo, and you're going to be next to people. I'm not against that. I looked at that, and anyone who watches this channel, that was my initial plan. Sell my bigger luxury condo in New Jersey, and I was going to buy a small condo on the beach. I couldn't find one. I was researching downsizing, and I saw on YouTube people living in their cars, vans, and RVs. Originally just RVs, and then I saw more. And I said, well, let me just try that. I said, I'm young, I'm in shape, I can give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just do whatever. I come to find out it was very freeing for me. Not to have to worry about cleaning, not to have to worry about a lot of crap. I don't really need utilities either. Um, but yeah, that's why I wouldn't want a condo or a studio apartment. But I mean, maybe one day. But I rather just have an RV lot with the smallest possible RV on it. Lauren, hey Sam, don't go. I never want to go, and I love you. I love everyone. It is hard to say goodbye. But I have to remember self-care. I need a certain amount of time to care for myself, and what I found, Lauren, I love you, and I understand the pain that you feel, but I'm with you. I'm always with you. What I feel is that where I've gotten in trouble in life is when I try to stretch something out. So I kind of feel in my spirit like I let it go because I saw that question, I felt led to answer it. So I certainly don't try to close the book too early. But what I've learned in life is you get in trouble when you try to stretch out the conversation, even if it's a good one. So thank you for this moment in time. Thank you for everyone. Go in peace. We'll connect again. And peace and love. That's it.